not moving. It just
You're
adds
right.
up. Like
You're right.
that's the thing with longevity is if you use it, you don't lose it,
Right.
you know? So you
So
have to continue to do these things. You asked me before, or you said about me before, it was a very nice thing that you said. You said, I think you said that I was a master of calisthenics.
mhm,
And I need to jump in and say, I don't think anyone can ever really truly master anything. And if you do, you can't take your foot off the gas. It's mastery is a process of
mm,
continuing to be a beginner and continuing to refine and continuing to have that curiosity. And when you lose that, you can't be a master. So it's a little bit of a contradiction in a sense. I mean, you to go back to the martial arts analogy you mentioned before, right? If somebody works their way up to that black belt and they stop training for a few years and they walk back in the dojo, they're going to get crushed by a white belt.
it's true. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's I did want to ask you about mindset because I was doing a little research on you and I saw that you have written some books on mindset and this kind of touches on that beginner's mentality or what we call in jiu-jitsu the white belt mentality when everything is new to you, everything is interesting, you don't know anything, and you just have this almost like egoless mentality about learning. You just want to learn. It's not you're not good enough. You haven't built up enough to be like, oh, I already know that. I don't need to be taught that again. Everything is completely brand new. I don't know if you have anything to mention about that.
Something I experienced myself as a trainer, and I've observed this with a lot of other trainers who I've known over a long period of time, is when you're new, like you said, you just want to soak things up, you have an open mind. But sometimes once you learn a little bit, you think you know a lot more than you do. You think, I've been doing this shit for 3 years. I've seen it all. I know what I'm doing. But 3 years, you're still a beginner in a lot
Mm,
of ways.
mm,
And then you might start to get a little bit of an ego. But if you do it long enough, if you've been doing it 7 years, 8 years, eventually things happen that break that ego. And if you are a sensitive person, you're paying attention at all, you realize, wait a second, maybe I don't know as much as I do. Maybe I should shut up a little bit and listen a little bit more. And then you start to get into that mindset of accepting that there is more than what you know. I think there's a saying, I can't remember which philosopher it's attributed to, but the more you know, the more you know how much you don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, you've been in the fitness game much longer than I have, but anytime I interview someone like you or just dive into fitness and I keep that open mind, it's like, wow, and the information is changing. So it's like what we thought was actually the right way to do things might not be the best way anymore. So it's really important to keep that mindset and just constantly keep learning. And as you say, it makes it more fun, at least to me, because you feel like a beginner again. You feel like someone who's can learn, and you have this. For example, jujitsu. A couple of years ago, we had the leg lock revolution, still going on now, where no one did leg locks. Very few people trained or even studied leg locks, and there were thousands of black belts who just had no idea how to do leg locks, defend leg locks, and that a lot of guys were like, nah, I'm not gonna, that stuff doesn't work. I'm not going to invest time into that. And for me, it was like, wow, this is awesome because I have a whole new world of jujitsu to learn. And it became really interesting and fun. But so important to keep that mindset.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to discover new things. And right, if the type of person who would have a big ego about being a black belt, I guess would be the type of person who would dismiss the new technique. But the
Right.
type of person who's a true black belt would it still have the beginner's mind.
Very well said. How much time do you put into mobility training and your calisthenics training or just working out?
I try to do a minimum of an hour of physical exercise. And like I said before, I also go for a walk. I'm not counting that as my hour. I try to do a
Okay.
dedicated hour of physical exercise on a daily basis. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm doing an all out strength training session every day. Some days it's just kind of a gentle stretch session. Some days I might do jump rope a little bit, stretch a little bit, hang on the bar a little bit, do like little circuits of that. Some days I will go hard and do a really intense upper body workout. But every day I need to do something. It's partially because I'm a very neurotic person, and it's partially because I like to take good care of my body. But yeah, so mobility actually sort of became a bigger part of my routine because as I started to get older, I was like, well, I can't do so much strength training. And I really like having a dedicated hour of exercise every day. It just helps keep me disciplined with life in general. So that's really how mobility started to become a bigger part of my day-to-day world. And then even on the days where it's not the focus of my workout, you always got to warm up.
Mhm.